The world of modern cyber warfare is a complex and ever-evolving landscape, where state-sponsored hacking has become a critical component of a nation's military strategy. To understand the intricacies of this domain, it's essential to delve into the history of cyber warfare, which dates back to the 1980s. This was the era when computer networks were first being developed, and the concept of hacking was still in its infancy. The first recorded instance of a cyber attack was in 1988, when a computer worm known as the Morris worm was released, infecting thousands of computers across the United States. However, it wasn't until the 1990s that cyber warfare began to take shape as a military discipline, with the establishment of the first cyber warfare units within the U.S. Department of Defense. Since then, the field has expanded rapidly, with numerous nations investing heavily in their cyber capabilities, and the lines between state-sponsored hacking and traditional espionage have become increasingly blurred. The modern cyber warfare landscape is characterized by the use of advanced persistent threats, zero-day exploits, and social engineering tactics to infiltrate and disrupt enemy networks. State-sponsored hacking groups, such as Russia's Fancy Bear and China's PLA Unit 61398, have been implicated in a number of high-profile breaches, including the 2016 U.S. presidential election and the 2014 Sony Pictures hack. These groups often operate with impunity, using proxy servers and virtual private networks to mask their identities and locations. As the world becomes increasingly dependent on digital technologies, the threat posed by state-sponsored hacking will only continue to grow, making it essential for nations to develop effective countermeasures to protect their critical infrastructure and sensitive information. The complete guide to modern cyber warfare and state-sponsored hacking must therefore begin with an examination of the historical context, before moving on to explore the various tactics and techniques used by modern hackers, and finally, discussing the strategies that can be employed to mitigate these threats and stay one step ahead of the adversaries. This will involve a deep dive into the world of cyber espionage, including the use of malware, phishing, and other forms of social engineering, as well as the role of international diplomacy and cooperation in preventing cyber conflicts and promoting global cybersecurity. By exploring these topics in detail, it's possible to gain a comprehensive understanding of the complex and fascinating world of modern cyber warfare, and the critical role that state-sponsored hacking plays within it. The first chapter of this guide will focus on the early days of cyber warfare, including the development of the first computer networks and the emergence of hacking as a distinct subculture. The second chapter will examine the modern cyber warfare landscape, including the use of advanced persistent threats and zero-day exploits, as well as the role of state-sponsored hacking groups. The third chapter will delve into the world of cyber espionage, including the use of malware, phishing, and other forms of social engineering, while the fourth chapter will discuss the strategies that can be employed to mitigate these threats, including the use of firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and other forms of network security. The final chapter will explore the role of international diplomacy and cooperation in preventing cyber conflicts and promoting global cybersecurity, including the development of international norms and standards for cyber warfare, and the importance of cooperation between nations in preventing and responding to cyber threats. By following this guide, it's possible to gain a detailed and comprehensive understanding of the complex and fascinating world of modern cyber warfare, and the critical role that state-sponsored hacking plays within it. The guide will provide a detailed examination of the historical context of cyber warfare, the tactics and techniques used by modern hackers, and the strategies that can be employed to mitigate these threats, making it an essential resource for anyone looking to understand the complex and evolving landscape of modern cyber warfare.